You know, there's a quiet irony in the way we tell the story of progress. We say a society has arrived when its people are busy, when its skyline rises higher, when its phones glow longer into the night. We measure success in numbers that can be graphed, optimized, scaled. And yet, if we're honest with ourselves, there's a silence underneath all that motion that many people are afraid to name, a sense that something essential has been misplaced, not through failure, but through achievement. Most people overlook this because it feels almost ungrateful to question success when you've worked so hard to earn it. But that question keeps tapping on the glass anyway. I've seen it in the eyes of people who did everything right, the degrees earned, the promotions stacked neatly like medals, the houses purchased just far enough from the city to signal arrival. On paper, these are victories, real ones, hard won. And yet, beneath them, there's often a fatigue that rest alone can't cure, a restlessness that no vacation quite touches, a sense that life has become a series of checkboxes, each one ticked with precision, but none of them pointing clearly to why it all matters. This is the quiet crisis of purpose in a successful society. It doesn't announce itself with chaos or collapse. It shows up politely. It shows up dressed well. It shows up on time. It whispers, not shouts. It asks its questions late at night when the screens finally dim and the house goes still. It asks them early in the morning, just before the alarm goes off, when the day hasn't yet demanded its performance. And because it doesn't look like despair the way we've been taught to recognize it, we often ignore it or outrun it. After the years following 2008, as economies steadied and innovation surged, we told ourselves a hopeful story. If we could just rebuild, reconnect, accelerate, if we could just stay productive enough, we would feel whole again. But what we didn't anticipate was how easily prosperity could distract us from meaning, how digital connection could crowd out human presence, how ambition, untethered from purpose, could hollow people out even as it lifted them up. In the mid 2020s, this tension is no longer abstract, it's personal. It lives in the therapist's office filled with people who don't know why they're unhappy when everything seems fine. It lives in families sitting together but scrolling apart. It lives in workplaces full of talent and short on soul. And morally, it matters because a democracy depends not just on successful citizens, but on grounded ones. People who know not only how to win, but why they're striving in the first place. When success becomes the destination instead of the vehicle, something fragile inside us begins to fray. Relationships get postponed for later. Communities become optional. Service becomes a resume line instead of a responsibility. We start mistaking motion for meaning, visibility for value, and slowly, quietly, the question grows heavier. Is this all my life was meant to be? What makes this crisis especially difficult is that it carries no obvious villain. There's no single policy to blame, no single industry to dismantle, no easy fix to tweet. It's woven into incentives, habits, expectations we've absorbed since childhood. Work hard, stay busy, prove your worth, keep climbing. And so we climb often without stopping to expansion often come with a reckoning. When material conditions improve faster than moral imagination, a gap opens. And into that gap pour anxiety, cynicism, and a sense of drift. In the mid 2020s, we see it in subtle ways. People changing careers not out of ambition, but out of emptiness. Young adults delaying traditional milestones not because they reject commitment, but because they're searching for meaning that feels authentic. Even institutions, corporations, schools, governments struggling to articulate not just what they do, but why they exist. What's striking is how personal this crisis feels, even though it's collective. People sit alone with their doubts, convinced everyone else has figured it out. Social feeds reinforce the illusion. Highlight reels crowd out the wilderness years. Success looks seamless, joyful, inevitable. But behind closed doors, many are asking the same question in different words. How did I do everything I was told and still feel this lost? There's pressure in that question. Pressure not to sound ungrateful. Pressure not to disrupt a life that appears enviable. Pressure to keep going because stopping might mean confronting a truth you're not ready to name. And so the crisis remains quiet. It hides behind competence. It hides behind humor. It hides behind exhaustion. Morally, this matters because purpose is not a private luxury, it's a public good. When people lose a sense of why their lives matter beyond consumption and competition, the social fabric weakens. Trust erodes. Participation thins. Democracy becomes transactional instead of aspirational. People disengage not out of malice, but out of numbness. And numb societies don't hold themselves together for long. What makes this moment different is that the signals are everywhere now. Therapy rooms filling with people who are not broken, just unfulfilled. Workplaces experimenting with mission statements that go deeper than profit. Communities rediscovering mutual aid, not as charity, but as meaning. These are not trends, they're symptoms. Signs that beneath our success, there is a hunger, ancient, human, persistent, for a life that feels aligned. And that hunger doesn't disappear when ignored. It waits patiently until something forces us to listen. When I look back on my own journey, I'm struck by how often purpose revealed itself not in moments of triumph, but in moments of disorientation. Growing up between cultures, never fully at home in any single box, I learned early that success without grounding can feel like standing on borrowed land. You look steady from a distance, but inside you're always adjusting your footing. When I was organizing in Chicago, the work was hard, the pay uncertain, the outcomes anything but guaranteed, but there was a clarity there, a sense that even when progress was slow, it mattered. People weren't asking me for perfection, they were asking me to show up. And that, I've come to believe, is where purpose often lives. Not in being exceptional, but in being useful in a way that aligns with your values. Later, in the Oval Office, surrounded by history and consequence, I saw the other side of the equation. Achievement at the highest level, responsibility measured in lives and futures. And even there, even with all that authority, you learn quickly that titles don't answer the deeper questions, they amplify them. On the hardest nights, when decisions weighed heavy, it wasn't success that steadied me. It was remembering why the staking motion for meaning. We confuse applause with fulfillment. We chase the next milestone, hoping it will finally quiet the ache, only to find the silence grows louder. Purpose, I've learned, isn't found by retreating from the world or rejecting success altogether. It's found by reorienting success towards service. By asking not just what can I achieve, but what am I accountable to? Family, community, justice, the next generation. These are anchors. Without them, even the strongest currents will pull us off course. Democracy depends on this grounding. Not just laws and institutions, but citizens who feel their lives are connected to something larger than themselves. People who believe their work, whatever it is, contributes to a shared story. When purpose erodes, cynicism fills the gap. When purpose is renewed, participation follows. Hope, the real kind, rooted in effort and responsibility, begins to take shape again. So if you're listening to this and feeling that quiet unease, if success has arrived but meaning hasn't, know this. You're not alone, and you're not failing. You're being invited to pause, to reflect, to ask harder questions about what kind of life you're building and who it ultimately serves. Those questions aren't weaknesses. They're signs of growth, and maybe that's why conversations like this matter, why slowing down to think together matters. If this reflection resonates with you, stay with it. Share your thoughts. Add your voice. Subscribe if you want to keep exploring these quiet questions that shape loud futures. Leave a comment not to perform, but to connect, because purpose grows stronger when we wrestle with it together. So I'll leave you with this. In a world that rewards success, who are you becoming beneath it? When the noise fades, what remains meaningful to you? And how might your answers help light the way not just for yourself, but for others still searching?